Welcome to episode 15 of the Iowa Girls Stories Wrestling Podcast. Today I have a special guest, Mariah Webster. She was a standout wrestler for Colfax Mingo, and she did do some wrestling in college, but now she's back at Colfax, uh, not only coaching, but she's a 911 operator. So, how are you doing today, Mariah?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, 911 operator, that sounds like a pretty fun job. Why don't you talk
Yes.
to us a little bit about what you do there?
Yes. So the training part of that, I was sitting with somebody for 3 months, and that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. But now that I'm on my own, I'm working midnight, so I work midnight to 8 a.m. and 6 days on, 3 days off. So that's a lifestyle change for sure, but I don't mind it. I'm able to go to more wrestling stuff working midnights. And yeah.
Yeah. I am also a night shift person
Yes.
and I do the same thing. I
Mhm.
I do it because I can do more wrestling stuff. I even
Yep.
had my bosses ask me once if I wanted to switch to days and I was like, "Well,
Mhm.
can I be off at this time?" They're like, "No." I said, "Guess not." So
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
awesome. So any crazy calls? I mean, I'm sure you can't give us names or anything, but any crazy calls
Yeah.
that you've had to deal with?
I've had my first on my own one, like that was kind of serious. I had someone call 911, and it's First Avenue in Newton, which is like the main road in Newton. And they said someone was hanging from a tree.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, so the guy was cutting down a tree, I guess, and he was like in a harness with his chainsaw, and he must have hit like a power line or something.
Oh,
So he was
fun.
just hanging there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that was very, I feel like I put all my training to good use, though. I feel like I handled it pretty well, but yeah, that was pretty crazy. Yeah.
That that does sound like a pretty crazy thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't use a chainsaw around power
Yeah.
lines. That's the
Yes.
moral of that story.
Yes.
So, you're back in Colfax
Hmm.
and you're back coaching with Hume.
Hmm.
What position do you all have? And then why don't we talk about coaching a little bit?
So I'm assistant junior high girls, which it's split season. So that starts up in January. And then volunteer for high schools. So I can do that kind of as I can with my schedule and stuff.
Yep.
But it's really cool coaching with Mr. Hume. We can kind of he can demonstrate what I used to do back in high school and show the girls. And I also get a coach with my little sister. It's her senior year. So it's like a full circle moment.
Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, I've
Yep.
gotten to know him pretty well. We're
Mm-hmm.
both, sit next to each other usually at our meetings at the girls'
Mm-hmm.
union and stuff, and we talk quite a bit. Talk a lot about the Webster girls, and we talk a lot
Mm-hmm.
about just girls wrestling in general. What are some things that you really take away from him and you're really you've used in life?
Um, the way he handles the girls, I've never had to do the whole coaching aspect of it. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You wanted to chime in.
Yeah, hang on 1 second. Okay, I'm so sorry.
No problem.
But I've learned how he handles situations. When I was in high school, I thought I didn't always agree with it coming from an athlete, but now that I'm a coach, I see where he's coming from, and I learned a lot from him. But
Yeah, because he even brings a different perspective too, because he comes not as just a coach, but
yeah.
he comes from an AD perspective
Yes.
also. And I
Yes.
know sometimes I argue with my AD because I feel
Hmm.
I should have this, but he's,
Yeah.
he's in both of those positions. So
Hmm.
probably are really learning quite a bit. And
Yes.
that's
Hmm.
it's important stuff. There's always different perspectives on things. What is it like having, being able to coach Lily a little bit?
I really enjoy it. I don't know how much she does, but we have learned when we can go and wrestle together when we can't. But I think the older that she gets, the more she listens to me and the more she realizes that I kind of know what I'm doing.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And Lily's fun.
Hmm.
But she has, she's got her own opinions, definitely.
Yes.
I That might be a Webster girl
Yes.
just trait. I'm not so
Yeah.
sure that it's not.
Yeah.
Um, if we went back and we went back to when I met you, which would have been the very first meet. Was it the very first one or was that the second year? It was the second year. I'm sorry. At
Yes.
Ogden though,
Hmm.
but it was at Ogden.
Hmm. Yep.
And you happened to wrestle my wrestler,
Hmm.
Keegan King, and that happened to be her last match,
Hmm.
but it was kind of the start of your career, I believe.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I remember talking to you after the match and stuff, and
Hmm.
it was kind of cool to it was kind of the same type of moment I had when she started, because she got beat badly at a tournament
Hmm.
and was like, hey, I want to be as good as them. And
Hmm.
your comment to me was very similar to that. And so I knew that you were going to be fine. What was it like, back then in those days, and how did you get started, and what was it like wrestling in those early tournaments?
Yeah. So especially like Keegan, I never really had much competition until I got to her, and it was a good lesson for me. Like I learned a lot from wrestling her, and I just idolized her from that moment. And especially being her last match, it like I also watch her to the day, and watching her become a mom is just amazing. And she's about ready to have another one. But I remember my dad made me take a picture with her right afterwards, and I was so embarrassed. My dad's like, "You're really gonna want this picture someday." But I do feel like I learned a lot from losing to her, and I just idolized her.
So how did you get started wrestling though?
Um, I was on the football team, so most of my friends were guys. So
Uh-huh.
all my friends wrestled, and they passed out papers to everybody in elementary school. So I took one home, and my mom signed it, and I had to beg my dad a little bit. And now he's one of my biggest supporters. So, mhm.
Because times were different back then. You were
Yes,
wrestling the guys every day,
yes, yep.
right? So how many years into it, how many years did you wrestle?
This will be my 13th year in the wrestling world, so
Wow.
11. Hmm.
So you were what
Yep,
grade then?
third grade. Hmm.
Third grade. Wow,
Yep,
you got started early then
yep,
for that time
yep,
frame, because there's a lot
yes,
of girls that were just getting started as freshmen then.
yep,
So yeah,
yep.
that is you did
Hmm.
get some time in the room. What was it like in the room when you started? Were everybody pretty supportive? Like you said, you were on the
Yeah,
football team
yeah.
anyway.
So they were all my friends, anyways, and the coaches were they. I was just another wrestler. They didn't look past it or anything. So yeah, but me and Kylie Doty, another wrestler, we were like one of two girls in the room, pretty much until I would say high school. Yeah,
Yeah, because your high
but
school team was pretty good sized, if I remember right.
yeah, I think my sophomore year was the biggest team that we had. It was like 16 girls, I believe. Yeah, but I didn't wrestle a girl until seventh grade, I think.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I remember going to War of the Roses, and I wrestled Sydney Park.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
Yep, and like fourth grade. Yep.
Very cool. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, those are, it's good to hear. And, Colfax has always done really well in girls
Hmm.
wrestling. I know you guys have placed a couple times. I
Hmm.
think those were IWCOA tournaments, possibly.
Yes.
Maybe your senior year, you guys placed two, didn't you? Or
Yes.
you were real close, if not.
Um.
I think you
Gosh, that
might
was
have
so
got
long
third your
ago.
senior year. I
Yeah.
mean, as a team, I think
Yeah.
so. I think it was. It's hard to remember
Hmm.
back some of those things. So the growth of girls wrestling over the years, obviously you started when it was again two of you in the room.
Hmm.
Your coaches were great, so that you didn't have those
Hmm.
issues. But what have you seen, over the years? I mean, what was it like to be in some of those first tournaments and then versus now, or like when you went to
Hmm.
the IWCOA tournaments and stuff?
Yeah. So the first girls tournament, I was part of that, and we were kind of like in the back of a boys JV meet. And then this year, I went and watched Lily, and the lights and the music and the fog machine, and it was an amazing thing to see. Like it their own thing, and it being sanctioned, and it's just mind blowing.
Yeah, because did you get a wrestle year of being sanctioned?
No,
No,
I
you
didn't.
didn't. So you were
No.
in were you in the one where they announced that they were
Yes.
sanctioning? Okay.
Yeah.
That was a pretty intense moment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I still think about it and get teared up a little bit.
Yeah.
It was really cool to be
Mm-hmm.
at that one. You had some experiences though at IWCOA. I mean, that would you'd have been at least 1 year, if not 2 years at Waverly, and then
Yep. 2-2, I think.
2-2. Okay.
Yep.
So how about those two tournaments? Waverly, first one. So if you were 2-2, it was a really cold day, was the first one with about
Yes.
90 girls total.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
and then to go to your third one where it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of unlimited numbers and they had a
Yeah.
silver bracket. What was
Yeah.
that change like? I mean, what was
I I feel like I was really nervous, just like the big auditorium area, but I did wrestle at AAU State, so it was at Wells Fargo. So I feel like I was more helping my team, trying to get over their nerves because they've never seen anything like that, and I've been to more bigger tournaments. But it was really cool. All the attention on us, like we haven't really had that before.
Yeah. And AAU State, yeah, that again, it was at Wells Fargo, but the attention wasn't all on you. I mean, maybe Sunday down in that one corner and stuff it was, but how did you end up doing? I know you placed multiple times at the AAU State tournament. You placed multiple times at IWCOA. How did you end up doing? I know it's probably not the results you wanted because but I think you did fairly well.
Yes. My senior year, I came out and I lost to Mackenzie Chyler. Is that how you say your last name? First round.
Yep.
So I had to wrestle all the way back. I think that was my senior year. Maybe that was my junior year. My senior year, I ended up wrestling Hannah Rogers, and I beat her after she beat me at the state tournament to go to the state champ round. So I wasn't too disappointed because I had a good match in front of me, and I just was keeping a positive attitude.
Good. Yeah, I always watch it. I know that it sucks, and I've been around that that environment too. And it's no fun to lose in a semifinals match. But I'm sure now you as a coach,
yes,
and you lose in that semifinals match. What are you telling your girls? How are you telling them to come back now?
I show them that it shows more coming back from losing a match, like coming back from that for that third place match. It shows more of your character and how you were trained, and it's just what Mr. Hume told me too. Mr. Hume told me, and I'm telling them like.
Yep. Good coaching. Yep. I think my words are usually the wins and losses don't define us, but how we react to those wins and losses define us. Things like that. So that's that you've got to have some really good experiences there. And with AAU, and this is, actually, I'm going to pull up a picture here, so you got to wrestle some off-season stuff. Obviously, this was the first time I got the opportunity to coach you, and we had a little ragtag team there at Twin River Duals and stuff. And that was I think the first year I was giving out socks, and then things were crazy back then. It was nuts. But man, this team, I look at it, you got Riley Rodish is on there. You got Hannah Michaels is on there. You got Anna Sundell's on there. Those three wrestled in college. You got Shay Mickey on there, wrestled in college. And Anderson, why can't I think of her name right off the top of my head? Allie Anderson. Why Allie Anderson is Iowa girls wrestling as far as I'm concerned. Allie Anderson on that team wrestled in college. And I don't know the girl from Nebraska that joined her team, but there's and to think that was like the second team, and there's 5 college wrestlers on that team. Yep. That is nuts where how things have progressed and stuff. But what was your experience like, like at a Twin River Duals where you're not getting coached by Hume anymore? It's girls you don't know. What's it like?
I think it was really cool to see other coaching aspects, and then how the girls work too, like their warm-ups, and depending on what team we're on, it's either a free warm-up, you kind of do what you want, or like Jason Lloyd runs it or whoever. And so I kind of learn new things there, and I'll bring them back to the room or for off-season stuff when I run practices, and that was really cool. Also, the atmosphere of Twin Rivers, it's my favorite tournament ever. You just we meet new girls. Like we had a Missouri girl on our team, and those are like lifelong friends. Like Destiny's in that picture, and I still talk to her every day.
No, those are cool. And you've got to come back and coach that tournament, haven't you?
Yes.
And you've learned some good coaching lessons coaching that tournament.
Yes, I have.
On how to handle parents a little bit, haven't you? And you've did a wonderful job.
Yes.
So that's getting back into coaching a little bit. And we'll move on into some other AAU stuff later. But coming back and coaching, what are some things that I think that's great. I'm so happy because Hume will probably tell you the same exact thing that I do. They can't see girls on your team can't see themselves in Hume and myself, right? We're 2 old guys. They don't want to be me, but they can see themselves in you, and they want to be you. How can we get more girls to come back and coach? And what's the greatest part about it? What are you enjoying? Sell me coaching.
The bond that I have made with my junior high girls, like they are comfortable enough to come up to with me with any problem. And I know junior high, they're not cutting weight, they're just starting off, but I was so proud of my junior high girls and the bond that we made by the end of the year. And they would just listen to me. They wouldn't cry or complain or anything. And it's just like having a little family. Like, I really enjoyed it. And with the high school girls too, I feel like they come to me for more advice that Hume and the other male coach can't give them.
Yeah.
So
Well, and Hume's been around doing it a long time too.
yes.
He probably feels about as comfortable as I do
Yeah.
on most subjects. I mean, there are
Yes.
some subjects that I'm going to try to avoid and
Yeah.
stuff, but yeah, we get used to it. It's almost like you guys are our daughters and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not as
Yeah.
not so crazy, but I can imagine being a first year male coach without having a female in the room, probably not fun.
No.
Probably not fun at all. But no, I applaud you coming back. That's really really awesome. So go back to AAU a little bit. You went down to Florida a couple times, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And,
three
and what,
times. Yep.
3 times, man.
Yep.
And
then COVID ruined one of them. So.
Oh yeah. So how is what's that trip like and stuff? What do you enjoy about that trip in general?
I actually enjoy wrestling so many matches in the day. Like you just quick move on, like put your loss behind you and move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And the atmosphere with that team too is amazing. They're always lifting you up no matter what. And I feel like I learned so much wrestling so many different kinds of teams. Like I've been on the A team, I've been on the B team, I've been almost getting into the championship round, like where it gets tough. And it's just an amazing tournament. And the parks and the Gatorland and all of that is amazing.
Yeah, Gatorland that was because of you.
Yes.
Right. And that was one of the coolest things we've done down there.
Yes.
Now we moved the trip this year. Lily got to go on the trip with us and
mm-hmm.
went to Fort Lauderdale. So a little contrasting, but
yeah,
Gatorland was, I like the parks, but if you can get on 4 rides in a whole afternoon, you're lucky. But and we got to see alligators jump like 6 feet out of the water and eat a whole chicken at one shot, and I'm sure you sat on top of the alligator and held them out. That was pretty cool. So great find.
Yes.
That's awesome. Thank you. The other cool thing that we got to do is your birthday. I believe it was your 18th birthday.
Yep.
And you, myself, and Jason Lloyd, we went out and ate a huge sushi boat.
Yes, because nobody else likes sushi for some reason.
Oh my God. And Jason and I have been back there like 3 times now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that was like some of the best sushi I've ever had.
Yeah, it doesn't compare to Iowa sushi.
Yeah, it's not Hy-Vee sushi, man.
No.
Not that I'm putting the Hy-Vee sushi down. I'll take it. I'll eat it. But boy, that was good. So, the trip now, Lily, did she give you any feedback on that? I absolutely loved that trip because I love the ocean and stuff. And I was in the ocean a lot.
Lily's never been to Florida. That was her first time to Florida. So I'm glad she got to go to the beach and stuff. And she really seemed like she enjoyed it. Every time I called her, she was busy. She couldn't talk to me.
Yeah, she is a social young lady.
Yes.
So you went to college. You went to William Penn first. Is that right?
Yep.
And then did you transfer to Grandview for a short time?
Yep, for a short time.
How was your experience in college?
I really enjoyed it. I liked the team and I loved the school. I feel like I did better in college than I did in high school. I just wanted I was going for elementary education and then I kind of lost that. I didn't really want to do that anymore. And then I wasn't really quite sure what I wanted to do. So then I was kind of stuck, like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it's a lot of money to pay to not know what you want to do, right?
Yes. Yep.
So, I mean, you have all kinds of time, don't ever think you don't.
Right.
So are you, the one question I've asked, like, Addie Lundquist and stuff, and said, do we push as coaches, do we just expect you guys to go on and wrestle in college, where it's actually a very small percentage? I saw a thing today. It's like 1.5% of high school girls go on to wrestle in college. Are we pushing it too much? Did you feel like you had to do it, or is it something you really wanted to do?
It's something I really wanted to do. And Mr. Hume would have stuck by my decision either way, because there was a bunch of girls on the team. Some of them didn't and some of them did. But we still knew that we had the season, so it doesn't mean anything. Like, it was still high school wrestling. We had to focus there. But then afterwards, he was like with freestyle and stuff. He was really helpful with that because there wasn't much freestyle too long ago. Now there is, but
it's getting more and more. Yeah,
yes,
there's more opportunities, which is great. And the tournaments are getting bigger. They're not so, a few years back, probably when you were starting, you go there, you might wrestle the same person 2 times.
Yeah,
and
I think I wrestled 1 time and I was a freestyle state champ.
yeah. And it's not that way. I mean, now you're wrestling a little bit bigger brackets than that, and you're getting some actual matches in there.
Yes.
One thing I like to do on these is, well, so far it's been girls that I've either coached, known, or had some type of relationship with in the past. So, but I do like to go through and ask just some fun questions that spark some conversations in there, and I think it will. We'll start easy though. What's your favorite color?
Purple. Light purple.
Light purple. You're very specific on that. It cannot be a dark purple. Yes. So
this color.
Gotcha. Really that iPhone purple.
Yes.
So if you had your choice to go on vacation, would you go to the mountains or the ocean?
Mountains.
You're a mountain girl.
Yep.
And I'm going to guess that you would probably go on a hunting trip. Am I correct?
I want to shoot a moose.
You want to shoot a moose? Yeah.
Yep.
Because I know you love to hunt, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's really cool. Mm-hmm. And I saw a picture today. I do a little stalking to steal pictures for the to advertise your podcast, but you have a really cool tattoo on your is it left arm?
Yep.
Oh my God, that is so cool. That's a deer. That is neat.
So it actually connects to my wrestling shoe.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So all of you, kind of your interest and love is right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. Very cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that one. Wanted to definitely throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
If you were going to, what's your favorite music genre? Country music.
Country. Yep.
So now I think a few people have said that also, but when it came to putting the music on before a match, what song was that?
The Warriors Call.
The Warriors Call. I'm going to write that down. I don't know if I know that one or not.
Yes. I really wasn't listen to music before my match though. Okay. I just like to sit there, either talk to Mr. Eom, talk to my other teammates. I didn't like to get in my head too much. I'd rather talk out. Like sometimes I would just tell them this is my plan for my match, like go through whatever I thought I was gonna do. But I didn't really listen to music. I felt like it made me in my head too much. But yeah, that was my walkout song.
Gotcha. That was your walkout song, like it. Yes. Night of Conflict. I was going to talk to you about Night of Conflict. Let's talk about Night of Conflict.
Yeah.
Because there's been a few of you, Hannah Davis and Addie and yourself all wrestled that Night of Conflict that was bonkers, insane. And what was that experience like?
The last one or the first one?
Well, there would have been the white singlets.
Yes. So me and Tatum have gone back and forth. I love her so much. But, that tournament I feel like was different than the first one. I feel like there was more people. There wasn't COVID or anything, so more people were there. And I did lose to Tatum, but I did learn a lot from that. But the atmosphere of that place was amazing. I love that arena. That was really cool experience. And
win or lose at that deal is there's no loss in that tournament or not tournament, but that night, because you guys had visitors. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but Erin Gerlich, head of the girls union now and was coming to be in charge of girls wrestling. That was one of her first experiences.
Oh, really?
With Iowa girls wrestling. And
I did not know that.
She hung out over by our table a little bit, and the atmosphere and the way you girls handled yourselves. And I think it opened some eyes at the girls union, because that was shortly before we sanctioned. I mean, it was that year that you sanctioned. They probably were planning it anyway, but I think it really impressed the support that they had. You had, as far as, people have mentioned that it was just that cool environment of, you come in and you do media and you get a singlet.
Yes.
What's that?
Yes.
What was that like for you? I mean,
I was honestly really nervous for like the headshot pictures and choosing the right song and like running out. And I remember all the girls standing back there. I'm like, are you gonna jog out? Are you gonna walk out? Or like we were all trying to decide if we were gonna run. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, but that was really cool. It made me feel special.
Yeah, no, it's
Yep.
that was a cool event.
Mhm.
And you were also on the one prior to that too.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep.
And it
Yep.
still was that one at the arena, or was that at I can't remember. They were both in Sioux City. One was
It
at
was a
the
different place. Yeah.
different place at more at
Yeah.
that the club area.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
How did that one go for you? Because I'm getting old. I don't remember crap.
Yes. That one, I didn't really know anybody yet. Like I wasn't quite sure, and then I got really close with Morgan and Toya,
Oh, cool.
and we kind of stuck by each other. And I was friends with Sydney, and so that was nice having made. That's when I started making my friends
Uh-huh.
and more comfortable on the team. And yeah, that was a really fun one too. It was like the first thing I've ever done like that. I was so nervous, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's the highlighting those are things that, 99.9% of the wrestling population have never experienced something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
for you to be able to go from nights of conflict wrestling in front of, in the spotlight,
Mm-hmm.
I wrestle covered, it's on,
Yeah.
live streaming,
Mm-hmm.
1,000 fans to
Yeah.
wrestling at Wells Fargo, you know, it'll, I'm hoping someday the girls make it to Wells Fargo. Hopefully we grow the tournament so much that we have to
Mm-hmm.
be at Wells Fargo, but
Mm-hmm.
being able to wrestle at Wells Fargo, excuse me,
Yep.
the tournament's going from Waverly to going from Waverly to Coralville, and the size of that tournament
Yep.
and just the things that you've got to experience through wrestling have
Yep.
been just some really amazing.
Yeah. One of my favorite ones was the War at West Gym.
Oh,
That
yes.
I got put in like I think a week notice
Uh-huh.
to wrestle Lily Left, and I was like way underweight, but that was a really cool experience. Yeah.
I had bought VIP tickets for that one also and sat right up front and stuff.
Yep.
I miss War at West Gym, but I
Mhm.
guess the West Gym isn't safe.
Yeah.
So I guess we can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So that is but that was a cool event. So you actually wrestled in three of those events then.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
is really cool. That's something that you'll never ever have taken away from you.
Yep.
I know that those events are really cool.
Mhm.
Um, let's go into just for you, and then I'm going to ask this as an athlete and then as a coach.
Okay.
So, second period, you do not have the option of deferring. What's your choice?
Bottom.
You are taking bottom, huh?
Yep.
Is that
Yep.
where you feel the most comfortable?
Yes. Pretty
You
much
had
every time I'll choose bottom.
because you have some funky rolls and stuff like
Yes.
that, don't you? Yeah. So,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
I am not as confident with my athletes on
Mhm.
bottom. So, as a coach, though, what are you telling your girls?
So I
Are you
learned
pretty picky? Are you just kind of decide on who the athlete is?
I kind of struggled with this last year. I had some parents that were upset with my choices, and I also told this girl, I cannot remember the situation, but I felt like if I would have put her in the opposite position, she could have done better. And I remember going to Mr. Hume, and it was like eating me up for a couple of days, and he was like, it happens. Like he's told me times that it happened to him, and he feels bad, but it's just part of learning coaching. But I do feel like I know my girls well enough that I know what their strengths and weaknesses are now, that I can kind of figure out what's best for them, and I think it works out for most of them.
Yeah, but you're not a strict. You're going down no matter what kind of girl.
Not for everybody,
Not for
yeah.
everybody out. No,
Yeah.
I've had to change my thinking
Mm.
also too, because it is
Yes.
not for everybody.
Yes.
Keegan was also really crazy off the
Mm.
bottom and had some nuts rolls, but and would usually end up on top. But
Yeah.
I have a lot of girls that do not have that as an option.
Mm.
So we'll get a little controversial here. Are you a folk style or freestyle person? Because I know
Folk
you've done
style.
both folk style. Even
Yep.
after the college, you weren't
Yep.
converted over.
Nope.
So you don't.
Nope.
So a lot of people. I'm sure you're on social media too and stuff, and
Mm.
and you see that. Well, girls have to wrestle freestyle. It's what they do in college and stuff.
Mm.
Was that transition hard for you to go from folk style to freestyle, or is it that big a deal?
For me, it was because, like you said, I have some crazy roles and stuff, and
Yeah.
I learned the hard way, and I got points against me because I rolled on my back trying to get out of position, and it did not work out well for me. I did learn my lesson then, though, but it was really hard for me. I want to make a reversal when I'm on bottom, and that's just not what you're trying to defend and
Yep.
scooch and
Yep.
yeah, and I don't know, it didn't pair well with my style, I guess.
Gotcha. So folks,
Yeah. It's still great. I still love it. I like the throws. I like the push out points, and I like being neutral, like the start. But I do like being on bottom more.
Okay, so now you just said push out points, and now I'm just kind of going thinking new set of rules coming in this year. Coaching might be different. Have you thought about that very much yet as a coach? Or with a 3-point takedown,
Yeah.
the near fall up to 4 points.
Yeah. So when I was watching Lily, at Matter Dreams, I think. Conflict of Charity. Yeah, that one. I was trying to like put all the new rules in my head and see what's going on, and I feel like it went really well. That tournament went really well with all the new rule changes, and I really liked it. I feel like it's a better introduction to freestyle because if they want to go to college, that's something that they're gonna have to do. And then I listened to your podcast with
Mark.
Yes, Mark, and that helped too, explain a lot of stuff, especially from a ref's position. And
yeah, I really enjoy that. I'm going to give you this advice as a young coach from an old fart. Always talk to officials before the matches, and talk to officials as much as possible, because they will love to share with you things. And if you have questions, it's really important. Like, Mark and I have gotten to be really good friends over the last few years. Yeah. And man, we will sit and break down rules and go back and forth on things, but it's great to see their perspective, and then it also helps you out a whole lot. Yeah. And you might remember from the podcast with him, the front of the book is purple. So even if you don't read it and they ask you, hey coach, what color is the rule book? Remember, it's purple this year.
Okay.
so that's important. I think we've done a really good job. We've actually been talking for about 45 minutes so far, which is kind of crazy. I always like give people an opportunity to have some final thoughts, something really profound, something, from the heart, whatever. It can be something easy too, but what's something that, what's that final thought for us?
I am really excited to be able to coach the high school girls this year, even though it's Lily's last year. It's going to be a little sad, but I feel like we got some good girls coming in, and they're eager to learn, and I'm very excited to teach them some new things, especially with the junior high girls. They're great listeners.
Good. I'm going to tell you, even though, so I've always felt like we've had maybe a little bit of a special bond together, just because it was, one of your Keegan's last match, and I met you there, had the opportunity to coach you. I probably on teams 3-4 times, always been around otherwise, even at the, and I think that's special about girls wrestling is that sometimes what singlet you wear doesn't always matter, that there's some bonds and stuff. So, I've always appreciated you on the teams. You've always been positive and always had a lot of fun. I'm glad you're coaching. I think you're going to do fantastic at it, and you'll probably take over for the old man here one of these days. Oh yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah. So, no, thank you very much for doing the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
All right. Well, I'm going to hit the button here and we'll stop and hold on for just a minute.
Okay.